They arrived at the morgue and slipped in just as the alarm ceased, causing Richard to look up and around. Damn it. Thought it'd keep them busy a bit longer than that. He swung round, taking in the room as he did. We need to hurry. There were a number of stainless steel tables, bodies laid neatly on each with thin linen blankets draped across them. To the side of the room, under a large hanging light, was another table. This one with rolling tables scattered around it, filled with assorted medical tools. Michael took a step forward to inspect closer, only to find that the table had another body laid on it, this one already having been victim to the mercy of the pathologist. It's not Chris, is it? Asked Richard, making Michael start backwards in fright. He took a shallow breath, realizing how foul the air was as he did. No, I don't think so. He shuddered and moved away from the autopsy, taking up a position next to the door as Richard started towards the covered bodies. How come we found this place so fast? It's almost as though you knew where you were going. Richard took hold of the sheet on the first table tentatively, then threw it back, only to sigh when he found it was not Chris, and moved on to the next one. Let's just say this isn't my first visit here. He grabbed hold of the second cover, more confidently this time, and again threw it back, but was driven back by an invisible force, knocking the breath out of him. After composing himself, his gaze followed something across the room for a few seconds, and then through the back wall. He shook his head and gritted his teeth. Inconsiderate bastard. He quickly moved on to the next corpse, this time pulling the sheet off while keeping a distance. He peered at the body and smirked slightly. Bingo. You found him? Michael stepped up and examined the body. It was Chris, all right. Unwashed, unshaven, and still damp from the previous night. What color that had been in his already pale complexion had now been sapped from his body, leaving only an empty gray husk. They've taken his coat, Richard stated suddenly. Check in the drawers. He threw his arm back and pointed at a steel wall cabinet with several roller draws in its lower section. He might have left something in his pockets. As he spoke, he inspected and searched the body, finding nothing but dirt and linen. Michael opened the top drawer and pulled out a long, stained trench coat which unfurled to full length as he held it and hung heavily to the ground. Is this it? He patted the pockets tentatively and removed a folded note from one of the side pockets. What did you find? Richard took the piece of paper and flicked it open. The note was damp, and the writing scrawled. The smeared ink barely legible against the wet paper. He read it and sighed deeply, gazing at the words sorely. I'm sorry, my friend. He laid a hand on the corpse's arm for a moment, and then took the note with both hands. The end is coming, he dictated. They're all gone, except one. A powerful spirit who promises me release. Promises me her. I don't believe him, but I can't resist. I'm too weak. I hear him. Hear his schemes. 7 of 1, and I shall be born again. He tells me I am the one. What does it mean? Asked Michael. 7 of 1, and I shall be born again? Honestly, I don't know. He folded the note again and reached into his pocket, pulling out the strange book. But it's got to have something to do with this. He waved the book loosely and leant against the table, placing it down. Richard? Michael said slowly, stepping backwards as his eyes widened. It's moving. He pointed to Chris's arm as it raised, the fist clenching as it went. Richard bolted upright and drew his gun, swinging around. The gray body sat up and looked around, examining the room and settled on the book Richard had left at the end of the table. This has never happened before, he told himself, unsure whether to think any of this was real or not. The text has awoken me, the corpse said in an unsettling, deep, grating voice while reaching for the book. It has been too long. Richard shuddered at his best friend being used like some puppet. Freeze right there, he shouted, pushing the gun forward as the zombie gripped the book, its dead hands seemingly able to move independently of the rest of its being. Just what the hell are you? Richard Wainwright, I should thank you for waking me. I also appreciate you returning my text. It held up the book, grinning on half of its face. But it is somewhat earlier than I had hoped. I said, who are you? He thought for a second and grimaced. And how do you know who I am?
I know you, Rich.
It readjusted its wrist with a sharp snap.
I know everything this host knew.
It peered back at Michael and saw fear wash across Richard's face. Slowly, its grin grew wider.
Does that concern you, my friend? And oh yes, you know me. For a moment I had you within my grasp. Someone of your talents could be very useful to me. But, alas, you slipped away.
You can't be. He backed away slightly, putting up a free arm to try and protect Michael. You were who he was talking about in that note. That's why you were after him in the border world.
Yes. Control the mind, control the body. And as for that note, I really did try to stop him, but his will was a great deal stronger than I had anticipated. Admirable, to be sure, but I still had to dispose of him, regardless.
Son of a bitch, Richard growled. You killed my best friend.
Indeed.
The embodiment of Melaine turned on the table and slid from it, grasping the notebook tightly.
I must thank you again, but just like your friend, I no longer have need for you.
With slow, deliberate movements, he removed a scalpel from a nearby tray. I said don't move. He pushed the gun as far forward as he could while trying to back away from the psychopathic corpse. I'm warning you.
Come now, we both know that is empty.
His words were calm and gentle as he started to move forward, knife in hand. Good point. Richard breathed quickly, lowering the weapon. But this isn't. He spun around, reaching into his coat with his free hand and pulled a vial from his inside pocket. In a single smooth movement, he popped the cork and threw the liquid at Melaine. The substance splashed onto his face, immediately burning deeply into the tissue, and with a loud hiss, made him drop to his knees, screaming in agony.
Wow. Wow.
Oh my God.
So that was his best friend who turned into a zombie?
Yeah, apparently so, yeah. That was awesome.
That was awesome. Awesome job. That was so good.
Yeah, you are fantastic. Elm says that's where
thank
you
you.
stopped.
Yeah, I know. You just wanted to keep going. Got some real, kind of D&D vibes from this, Baldur's Gate-ish, but also kind of like a mummy-type vibe to it. I love it.
Yeah, it was really good. Nicholas says, awesome reading. Thank you. I don't know if you're seeing it. Can you see the chat?
I saw, yeah. Thank you, Nicholas.
So what was that? Was that holy water that he tossed on him? What was that?
Just a vial, substance splash. Just says a substance. So it's probably a context that was maybe from before, something maybe he was prepping, like Van Helsing.
Oh my gosh, so cool. Wow. And your creepy voice for the zombie was so good too.
Super creepy.
Do you do a lot of you mainly do romance stuff, huh? You don't really get into the creepy genre.
Yeah, no, I mean this is I would say newer to me. I love anything fantasy and definitely this genre. I appreciate things like this where you I wouldn't say throw me a curveball, but you give me more of an opportunity to spread my wings in other genres. Because I have definitely found a niche in romance and erotica, but these are very enjoyable, and I do have versatility, so I like to kind of throw out all these little voices, and that one wouldn't say it's sustainable. You really throw out your voice after a while, but if it's a character that's a bit minor, it's like, all right, yeah, I can do that.
Oh gosh, that's something I wouldn't even thought of.
A concoction of his own design. That's cool, man.
Yeah, that was amazing. It was really good. And it was cool because, you're so good at this of changing your voice to the different people. So we could easily tell that it was a different person, which I
appreciate that.
As a listener, appreciate that.
I take pride in that.
I do.
All right.
It was an honor, Nicholas.
Everyone, before he jumps down, go ahead and take a screenshot of this so you guys can see this book and save it for later. Remember that Brandon was the one who read it for you guys. Please make sure you go follow Brandon, shoot him some likes, shoot him some thumbs up, give him some love for that awesome read.
100%, yeah.
And
Brandon, you can just hang out here because you stay here.
Yeah, got the next one, right? Yeah.
Perfect.
So my first thought when I saw this this book cover was that it was like like a necromancer. That was
Oh,
like my first thought when I saw this.
yeah. And I think it might be because sounds like someone's coming back from the dead.
Somebody's coming from the dead. Creepy. And Brandon sure did bring that creepy out.
Hello?
Hi.
Hi, I think we finally got it.
Oh, perfect. Okay. So you're not going to be able to hear them, but I will translate everything, not translate, I will relay everything that they say to me to you so that way we can kind of hear from you.
Brilliant, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yep, no, we'll figure out a way. If there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
So kind of tell us a little bit about this story.
So, Chronicles of a Median is effectively 3 separate stories following the misadventures of the titular medium, Richard Wainwright. And the medium is kind of like almost like a spiritual medium, but different in that rather than just communicating with the other side, like the dead, he's able to walk between the worlds of the living and the dead. And the first book, which the reading was from, was from the first story, which is basically about that character coming back from the dead, possessing Richard's best friend, and trying to return from the world of the dead. The second book is basically vampires, where the second story is basically vampires, where the events of the first story kind of kickstart the ancient return of these creatures of the night. It's a lot more kind of like me indulging the tropey vampire genre, just because I enjoy it. And the third story is again a roll-on of events going from story to story, involving a dark cult which is literally trying to merge the worlds of the living and the dead.
Oh my gosh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, chat is saying, "Oh, interesting." Kathy said, "Wow." So,
So
I
is
love
it
it.
strictly
It can be a bit
fantasy?
tropey here and there, I find, but it's all stuff that I kind of enjoy, and it's like I say, it's me indulging myself a little bit.
right, writing to your own interests. We all feel you on
Yeah.
that. Kathy wants to
Yeah.
know if it's strictly fantasy.
It's like paranormal, not remotely based in the real world. Even the world it's based in is kind of like a twisted version of our world. So it's kind of like has contemporary things here and there, but it's largely just set dressing for the supernatural stuff that goes on around it.
Oh my gosh. So, okay, I have to clarify. That was his best friend that turned into a zombie?
It was, yeah. Earlier, and I don't want to get too many spoilers or anything, but earlier in the story, he's met him, and he's been basically taken over by lots of spirits from the other world. But then this Malayan rises above them and takes control of him, where the others are only able to speak through him.
Oh my gosh.
So.
Now, does all 3 of these stories follow the same main character or is it different main characters?
No, they all follow the same main character, although the Michael character, which was present in the reading, he takes more of a center stage in the second story. However, it does still completely revolve around the Richard Wainwright character, the median himself.
Gotcha. So just really quick to kind of let everyone know, what motivated you to tell this story of like this person who could talk with the dead?
Well, I like to where people ask me this kind of thing at events I go to, and I will say it's walking around graveyards at night too much. But interestingly enough, it was a long time ago now. I was walking along the road, and I saw this car go past. It's going to sound really weird, but I saw this car go past, and one of its hubcaps just come flinging off and shattered just in front of me. And as I was walking, I just got to thinking, like, what would happen if that hit me and then I died? But then I kind of got stuck, and I was in the world between living and the dead, and I went home and nobody knew who I was. And because the medium can like I say, walk between the worlds, and he can go to the world between the living and the dead. I kind of imagine myself walking around that world, and it just kind of developed from there. And I started, as I say, bringing in the tropey things I enjoy about supernatural and fantasy and everything, and it just kind of developed from there.
All right, I think some of us want to know, is there any love interest in any of these, maybe not one, but two or three?
Yes.
Awesome. That's all we need to know.
It's not a romance story in any way, but there is a love interest.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, it sounds like you hit on all the really cool, like you said, trope things that everyone's looking out for and wants to jump on the train with.
Well, I'm glad. Another thing that happens at events is some people come past, I tell them what it's about, and they get scared.
Like, no, thank you. Do you have any words for Brandon with his read on that?
Only that it was fantastic. It was such a joy to hear the story come alive like that. He's absolutely fantastic narrator. I loved his voices. I know he said that it was a bit hard to maintain, but he did an absolutely stellar job.
Yeah, we like Brandon. He's awesome.
Yeah.
If anyone wanted to purchase this book or follow you on social medias, where can they find the book and where can they find you?
So the book's available on Amazon. It is available on Kindle Unlimited as well. It's in paperback and ebook, and it is in the extended distribution. So it is available in places like Waterstones in the UK, but it's primarily available on Amazon. And I can be found on mainly Threads, Instagram, and sometimes Facebook with the username @NicholasHouseAuthor on all of them.
Awesome. Perfect. Nicholas, you were fantastic. And thank you so much
Yeah.
for letting us read this book and letting us hear the really cool, scratchy voice that Brandon did.
Thank you. It was an absolute honor being on.
Alrighty.
It
We
was
will
fun.
talk to you
It was
later.
fun.
Okay, thank you very much. Bye bye.
Kathy says bye, and thank you too.